moments, missing folks will become fire. Say their names in a space filled with blood. Say their names to fill this beginning like a pool. Have you ever seen a flooding? The freeways in Detroit were filled with underground water. Coastlines encroach. Effluvium used to mean to flow out. Have you ever broken a wall? Half the world can say yes, we are trying to break walls we didn't ask for. And yet here we are staring at recrudescence, the subjects of policy, the images beneath your dome. Yesterday I spent time imagining petals and strings and uncut trees. The failures of capital are beautiful. I signed the email. I'm excited to see more things fail. Sincerely, Calvin. Listen to the wind in your nature allotment. The Anthropocene sleeps on top of the plantational scene, a wide worn chest lulling you with a clear view of the seaside risings. You ever press sound to your ears, as close, as close, as close? The softness of rumbling waves, the creak of wood on water, the silence of disappearance, turbulence and evacuation flight hits as you rustle awake. Have you ever scorched water onto your face? Ever watched yourself watch yourself? Catching a projected galaxy, a plea. I was just calling because they were just leaving. I say that every lyric is ultimately against the state. I'm just saying you could do better, and maybe I'm just thinking about interpretation. It's about black joy, says the curator, gesturing to a canvas colored brightly red with ice machine, crushed cowrie shells, and the floor beneath it. Before moving us along, this one's about PIC masculinity. You look and it's a photo collage of Amazon warehouses, New Balances, and in the lower left corner, the logo for Sponson's funeral home. You know, I used to think black intimacy was a secret meaning something that was not yet, the radio station that only plays R&B. But at the beach in Yucatan, I sat on the debris of beach houses destroyed by a hurricane. The locals said, don't build there. They did as they do, and with the pull of the tide, the homes collapsed. I was reading South African pulp exile fiction. In intimacy, the home is not a solve, I tell you, and for us, what I mean is that it's a safe space for a soft poet. No, the crowd resounds, laughing. I'm drunk on beats and I have bags under my eyes, which is an aesthetic that I've worked for, that I deserve. I mean, are we the first generation to be born alienated in notes? No. Nostalgic for a past that we know better about. A present we are scrolling to understand. A flaky future that we're not sure will come. We, and I mean I, can feel it all slipping away. I think we might know now. Well, so that'll be the first item. So we can, open for any reactions or questions, and then I'll read a bit from Flutie.
Well, in your preface, you spoke about outsiderness and like the question of like what is outside and things of that nature. And as the video was starting, I was fighting with myself because I was having to decide what to focus on. It seemed easier to focus on the visuals, but then I'm wanting to read the subtitles, and I'm also wanting to listen to your voice. So I found myself kind of coming in and out, and when there was a lull in your speech, I would read the captions, which is how I picked up that eventually you were reading the captions. And then of course when the visuals really calmed down, I was able to like focus more on hearing what you were saying. But I felt like at once an outsider, but because I was also being so introspective and my search for interpretation and meaning and stuff like that, it was very like inside too, if that makes sense. So it was an interesting experience.
Yeah, I love that reaction. I'm thinking about how the poem is like this weird inside narrative in a way. It's so interior, and then I think about like what are ways I can like open this up, either with like a shared reference or like a proper noun, but otherwise it becomes I feel like like you're reading any other reactions or thoughts, questions?
Well, I came to realize that the text, the subtitles were the poem that you were reading, but clearly not in sequence to your reading. So I kind of just sort of honestly just decided to go with the reading, and I enjoyed I enjoyed the collage, and just sort of figured I'm not going to wrestle with the text.
Yeah, I love that. I love kind of like giving a choice, or like kind of offering too much as well too. And like how do you like negotiate that access to? Yeah.
Do you want to read more, or do you want more questions and answers?
No, either is okay.
I'm curious. This is an obvious question, but I was sort of curious about relationship. I mean, I don't want you to have to explicate too much, really, but like between like kind of the interiority of the poem, maybe say, versus like the exteriority of a lot of the political events like that are occurring, like in the video, which obviously are interrelated, but not, but from a different perspective. And I was wondering about like just how you kind of conceive the relationship between like just the text of the poem itself and then the images of like a lot of public demonstrations, for example.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's coming to mind is like my experience on like my morning commute is that the political just kind of like constantly intrudes on like what's supposedly is like this interior moment. And so I think with my poems, I'm not kind of interested in like kind of demarcating like this is actually my space for this like kind of interior processing. I kind of like welcome the intrusion. And I think partially maybe that's kind of coming out in this piece, and that the images that I believe are coming from like Sudan and kind of like Uganda are supposed to be like this kind of disruption to what's otherwise like the images like me at the apartment I was staying at was like kind of the interior in some ways too. And so yeah, I think for me, I like to acknowledge the existence of the outside, or the kind of existence that there are these other kind of layers